Hello everybody, my name is Bosco18. Now, as you all are seeing, this is my old Quirk tier list rankings. A lot has happened, a lot has changed. So as always, I'm going to be changing this up each time a new Quirk gets dropped or later on. If it's like with Ice and Flame where it's like a two kind of Quirk thing, one half and another half get released separately, I might do something like that and wait, because I want to make sure before any time I ever revamp this that we have all of the info, because that way you guys can know and I can know. I'm going to go into the video a bit explaining how each of these quirks relate and how I'm going to rank them, because I'm not going to rank it like just based on rarity alone. No, I'm going to rank it on some other things as well, so that way whenever you guys think of, oh, what quirk should I get, what quirk should I try to roll for, you guys know what you need to get, what you need to keep, and what you might want to get rid of in the future. So for this tier list ranking video, I have ideas of how I want to do it. So obviously, I'm not going to really go into the detail of quirks that I've already covered. For example, One For You and Wing Justice. I've done separate videos on those, so you guys can check those out. For quirks like Ice, I'm going to make that into maybe at least a 3-part video, considering the fact that we know Flame is going to get added, and we know there's going to be some weird thing that's going to be going on if you have both Ice and Flame. So I kind of want to save that for like either a 2-part or 3-part video, so we can get the full range of how these abilities work, since obviously right now we only have one half of one full quirk. Secondly, I will be talking about mainly how quirks are used. Examples. I'm going to be mainly talking about how quirks can be useful in both PvP and PvE situations, since I feel like just going into their stats and numbers alone isn't going to be giving you guys the full range of how you can use these quirks. For example, I could say, yeah, Copy is a very good quirk for PvP. PvE, on the other hand, it's probably one of the worst ones, considering the fact you need someone else to let you copy their skills so you can fight enemies. Other than that, it's pretty much useless. Second off, this is going to be going off just by stats and usability alone. For example, we all know that you get different numbers and different damage outputs for how you do your stats. And from what I do usually is I put 300 into my quirk when I'm making my showcase videos. So first off, we're going to go by that. Gamma Gauntlet scaling, I don't think we'll need. But usability, on the other hand, is how well these quirks can be used and how situational they can also be used. Because there are sometimes situations where certain quirks, even if they're good, can also be very bad. Lastly, I'm going to be using my good friend Frost's damage sheet, because he did a very good damage sheet that was helped with this video. I might also be using the Trello. My issue with that is, when looking at the quirks, they don't really put the damage numbers on those, so it's very hard to really tell how good they can be. Alright, since I've already mentioned it, let's first go over Copy and where its ranking is. The only thing that could be said about Copy is that the name it says it's Copy. PvP wise, it's great. You could pull off a lot of sick stuff with it in PvP. It's one of the best ones to have in PvP because of all the chaos. It'll be easy to basically grab someone's quirk, copy them, do the petrification grab so that your teammates can then follow up and then do a nice combo. Problem is in PvP, due to the fact that it basically has no combo starter besides just copying people, and due to the fact that NPCs can't be copied, even the boss ones, there's really no use for it other than you're going to have to just ask someone out in the open, can you borrow their quirk? Which 90% of the time nobody wants to do or have that happen to them. The other problem is mainly due to the fact that you can at least have up to 3 slots of just different moves. In PvE though, those slots are basically going to be useless if you can't get a quirk or a move. So this is why I gave Copy the C tier. It's good in PvP, but there are just so many downsides to basically using it. in the main base game. And due to that, yeah, I could rank it higher, maybe give it at least a decent low tier B. But just because of the so many disadvantages in the base game, I can. I really can. It doesn't help it scales off Quirk, which already means, due to the fact that most of the quirks in the game run on that stat, it already is basically useless. In all honesty, this thing should maybe at the very least, run off strength just a tiny bit. Alright, Ice. I don't really have much to say about Ice. I'm waiting for Flame to drop, because there's going to be something going on with that if you have Ice also with it. Overall, it's a good mid-range quirk. Not so great in PvP as from what I've been told, so take that with a grain of salt. PvE-wise, it's very good. It's also very good with the Gear Blade, surprisingly. You just have to watch out for that Frostbite effect. The Frostbite effect is very good and very OP. It's just not that great when it comes to PvP, due to the fact that, again, it's a ranged one. It travels just in a straight direction, with only the Ice Dispersion being, well, your only area of effect move. Alright, Mind Control. First off, I'm glad that they fixed the effects, because my god, that was just a seizure waiting to happen. Secondly, lackluster. Just very, very lackluster. PvP-wise, it's pretty good. It's a very good support quirk. It's very good, and you can do the funny invert control thing with your awakening. PvE-wise, you only really have one damage move. I haven't really used the quirk a lot personally, but that's pretty much all I can really say. The other moves in it let you push your targets away or let them walk away. This works on NPCs, but other than that, well, you can just confuse them pretty much. That's pretty much it. It's pretty lackluster in my opinion. I can't really say anything else about it, so that's why I can just give it a C tier. It's pretty good in PvP as a good support quirk, and that's pretty much it. The invert control thing wouldn't really matter on an NPC since, you know, it's an NPC. The walking away thing, I guess, does help with bosses, but that makes it a bit annoying. And the rest of it is just, yeah, it's, as the name implies, it's mind control, I guess. That's it. Now, I should mention when I say with mind control is that it is very good in PvP. I say it's great, a good support quirk. But the problem is with these rankings is I'm basing this off both PvP and PvE. With also along with versatility and their moveset. Since we know that PvP takes about 50% of the game and the other 50% is PvE, I can't just base this off that, oh yes, it is a very good quirk when it comes to PvP. It's a good support. I have to go with my gut here and say that due to the fact that it's basically non-viable and useless when it comes to PvE, I can't give it anything higher. I really can't. Oh boy. This one I might get a lot of criticism for, but this was a hard one. It is a very good quirk, but the problem is the versatility. At the end of the day, it has become very predictable, and that's why I think I have to give it a mid B tier, and that quirk is Tail. I'm sorry to all you Tail users, but I will explain. Now, Tail is very good in my opinion. Easy to do combos, free combo starters even with Rising, Tailspin, and the Roar, along with just regular Tailspin in general. Very useful in PvE, good to like understand the early basics of the game, even if it's a common. It's very good, and it would be S tier. Problem is the PvP and the versatility. PvP nowadays especially, from what people have told me and from what the information I could gather, it's become very predictable in PvP, which kind of does kill it. Because while it does work well with others in a versatility sense, the problem is definitely the PvP. If it's very predictable, then I can't really give it a higher tier ranking. Because at the end of the day, if I'm going to be using a quirk, then I would like to know that my opponent can't read my move or hand. At the very least, then I just can't. It would definitely rank higher, but the next one, I think at the end of the day, would probably just beat it out. Because at least then, it adds something different. Alright, Giant. Now, I rank Giant higher than Tail due to the simple fact it all comes down to what your second quirk is going to be. Keep in mind with Giant, your quirk moves will still be scaled up. So it kind of is iffy there in the fact that, yeah, this is still going to do more damage than it is with Tail. It's more versatile and more well adjusted to other quirks as well. It's still dominant in team battles from what I heard. It's just that even though it's been heavily nerfed, it's still dominant there. Just from the sheer combination of quirk moves that you can use with it. Secondly is the fact that in PvE situations, again, it all comes down to the second quirk. While Giant has some good moves like the Gigantic Leap, which acts as also a guard break, first off, you can't even grab enemies anymore, especially the bosses with like the Gigantic Bite, I think, or whatever it's called. It's the crush move, where you grab the enemy from the ground and basically bite them. You can't use it with bosses, with NPCs, that's not going to matter considering the fact that they all travel in packs. With Gigantic Stomp, that's probably one of the worst M1s to ever have, unless it's in PvP. With NPCs, that's probably horrible. Which is why most people use the combat whenever they're using Giant. Secondly, it's just easier to perfect block with Giant as well. You're able to easily read somebody's moves with Giant and then perfect block it at the right time. Heck, I got like 4-5 perfect blocks with Giant when I ran it. And then lastly, I guess, is the Hyper Armor buff that you get along with Giant. That is really good, and better than with Tail, honestly. It was hard to rank these two. Both are good with their strength stat. Problem is, though, if I had to come down to the end of the day, if I'm in a situation where I'm fighting other people, I would still have to go with Giant than with Tail. Tail is good, but you have that bigger range and radius whenever you're using Giant. Your moves are going to be upscaled by a lot. Meaning you're going to be able to hit more people and take out almost like half the map with Giant. And that's the real issue. I would definitely rank Giant lower due to all the nerfs that it had, but at the end of the day, it really does come down to whatever second quirk you're running with Giant. That really is all that matters. I don't think this next one's placement should really shock anybody. Shock is very good and very well detailed. I'm going to get more into it probably tomorrow, when the video obviously drops. For those of you who don't know, this is like taking me 2 days to record, so right now it's like 2 a.m. in the morning. I will be going more into Shock when I wake up. So yeah. Morning everyone. I am awake and well rested. Alright. Let's get into talking about Shock. Now, I could go into maybe a whole hour video of why I like Shock, but I think what I'm going to do is just summarize it. So let's first go over the move. It has a lot of various good moves. Again, I will go into that in a very big separate video, but overall, Shock has a lot of various good moves. A lot of good stuns and a lot of moves that work well into each other, unlike other ones. You have moves such as the Electric Stream, which lets you channel the stream towards enemies, which also lets you pull them in, which is very useful in both PvP and PvE, especially if you're like running Giant or anything. Let's be honest there. We've all probably been caught in that. You also then have the Electric Stomp, which gives you Hyper Armor. And finally, you have Electric Spark, which if used in the air and on a large group of people, especially in PvP, and you just aim it downward, it is a very useful move. The teleportation move also, where you can teleport behind enemies, is kind of useful. I know people would say it's very useful. My only issue with that is that you have to stand still, of course, which means that you're open to enemy attacks, but, you know, that's here nor there. I think the only thing that would separate it from other ones is the versatility portion. again, it falls into that same category as with Tail, where due to so many people have been using it, especially in team battles, it's very easy to read nowadays. Like, you go into it, you see someone getting ready to charge up the electric stream move, you just block. It's very easy to read, in fact. Same thing with like either electric stomp. Well, maybe not electric stomp, but other than that, yeah. Even the awakening, you have the awakening, which is just a grab. That's pretty much easy to dodge. And then the other one is going to be what? A aura of shock, and then it just like deals AOE damage to people around you. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But in all honesty, when I was running it and then using it, it was pretty useless overall. It was not that great. The electric dashes are very good though. I like they're like OFU, where you could just aim it. It's omnidirectional, so it's easy to get around, which is probably much better than everything with that one anyway. The only other thing that I have to probably say is, well, that's pretty much it in all honesty with Shock. It's the only real good move that I like about it is the passive where you can teleport behind people. I like that more than the overload move, which is kind of good, but in all honesty, whenever you're using Shock, you want the move that lets you teleport behind people for easy combo making. It's same thing with PvE, very good and very useful. I can't really say much with the PvE portion because that's very good. It's just the predictability. That's really what sets it down. Oh boy. Oh boy. This next one was very hard. It was like either this or it was going to be Shock. But at the end of the day, when confirming with other people and thinking about it very hard, I think I have to agree now why I'm going to place it higher over Shock. Because at the end of the day, when you really do think about it when fighting in PvP, even though it doesn't have a great start, those moves by the end of it are what really make it good and what really make it powerful, and that is gravity. Now, I'll get into this in the ranking explanation, but gravity and I have a very complicated history where in PvE, the beginning move is just dog water. And that even if you say like it's not like the rock one, the problem is again the debuff that you get, the nausea effect. It just makes it very impossible to sometimes land that, and due to the fact that it has real no combo potential when you first get it. It's only later down the line where it's actually useful, and that's sort of why I had to place it higher than Shock, because when you really do go down to it, these two are very similar. I would love to give them the same ranking, but at the end of the day, it is those last couple of moves in Gravity that really do make it higher than Shock. Alright, so for the moves anyway, the first move just sucks outright. It's horrible for when you first start, especially in PvE. It's just horrible, very horrible. It's only later down the line and later down the skill tree where it becomes kind of useful, but anyway, I digress. With the Gravity Slide, that is the one that's very useful, because once you unlock Gravity Glide and Slam, good god, that is some of the most powerful stuff in the game in my own opinion. Not the most powerful, but definitely useful, because with the Gravity Glide, where you throw people up into the air, it gives them just like an automatic stun where they can just float around. But even then, the best you can do is try to block, but it does set up for great combo potential, very good combo potential, and very good combo potential on bosses as well, which is something that not a lot of these quirks do have, in my own opinion. Same thing for the Gravity Slam, because here's the thing, with the Gravity Slide, you can apply that effect to multiple people. Gravity Slam, heck, that is a combo waiting to happen. You just do the Gravity Glide. It also applies still the same debuff gravity effect. You can just slam them right back to the ground and then pull off another second combo, which is very good, especially in both PvE and PvP. The problem is, again, it needs you to do this later down the line. Secondly, you also get that nice, cool shield buff with the floating rocks, which can be upgraded. But it's still, again, and I will get this into the versatility portion, is that it suffers heavily from just being very dog water at the beginning. Now, I mentioned in versatility the combo starter deal, because again, this only relies on the Gravity Slide. Because if you can't really land the Gravity Slide, you can't really start up those combo chains. So again, that is the really only bad part about it. It all depends on if you can land that one move, because if you can't, there's no real point to it. I guess you could try to do it with the gravity glide, since that also still applies. But again, mainly the glide is kind of just easy to read a bit in PvP. Like, you can still see people using it, but you can also try to float out of it. And once you're out of it, then they can't really do anything to you. They can still try to slam you, but what's that going to do at the end of the day? That's going to damage me a bit. I don't know. It's just very hard to say what really is a good combo starting for it, since there really isn't any. And again, these rankings are just based off the quirks themselves alone, not like the combat system or anything. All right, Wing Justice. This one was probably very easy. Very easy. It's good overall. If you want to know why, I've left a link to my old showcase video for that. I've already went into major detail on that one, so watch that, since this will just be a very brief overview of what it can do and why I ranked it. Alright, Wing Justice. This one was probably very easy. Very easy. It's good overall. If you want to know why, I've left a link to my old showcase video for that. I've already went into major detail on that one, so watch that, since this will just be a very brief overview of what it can do and why I ranked it. Alright, let's first talk about the quirk. It's a very good support quirk. Let's just say that out of the way. The moves, very good due to the fact they're all stuns. That's pretty much all I can say. Again, I've went into more detail on that in another video. PvP wise, same thing. Very good for supporting your other quirks. Works well with others. PvE, same thing still. Works very well with others. And is very good for like getting multiple groups of NPCs. Only downside is, again, they took away the funny grab for bosses. So that's a real thumbs down. And overall versatility. Heck, if I can just glide anywhere that I want, and that is a big buff in my opinion. And it's very just well made, in all honesty. There's not much I can really say about it, since I've already covered it all in detail in another video, so yeah. Alright, one for you. I don't think anyone really saw this as surprising. I've went into great detail about what it can do, what it does, in my showcase video for it. So, I'm just going to do the same thing what I did for Wing Justice in this one. And that's just a brief overall summary. All I can really say is what I said in the showcase video. All the moves are pretty good, besides a couple of them. Maybe like 3 at most. PvP wise, obviously, you're gonna run this. It is still OP as heck. And in PvE, of course, it's still gonna be OP. In both PvP and PvE, it's ranked up in the top tier. At least from what I know and from my knowledge anyway. And versatility wise, come on, the only thing that's really wrong with it is the stamina drain, and that's pretty much non-existent if you do your stats right. Overall, there's nothing really wrong with this one. Instead of that, it's just very common to now see people use it. Alright, and those are the final rankings. I do hope you guys have enjoyed. I will definitely be revamping this as more quirks get added. So thank you to everybody who has been tuning in, and be sure to be on the lookout for more. And as always, my name is Bosco and I will see you all later. Bye!